For the beginning, we are moving globally. Let me greet Mr. Rilli Lappalainen, coming from Finland. He will join us from Finland, and he works globally throughout the globe for whole his life. He works at the level of policy, profession, practice. He developed into the expert and professional and policy holder in different moments. So he is intertwined with this topic. So it's not an accident that he is co-founder and presiding or the Bridge 47 network, and he will introduce this network in continuation. Really, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the very kind invitation, and I'm really happy to be with you, not person in physical, unfortunately, but luckily we have this technology which really helps us quite a lot on that. So I'm really happy to be here. So thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm just trying to show my screen so that you could follow me a little bit more, hopefully a little bit better. This is the classical situation which happens every time that. Here we go. I hope that you can see that very well now.
It's okay.
Okay, great. So thanks a lot for invitation. And like said, I'm Rilli Lappalainen. I'm the founder and the chair of the Bridge 47. And the Bridge 47 is the global network which we built up for the people who are working with value-based educations. So those people all over the world, including Sloga, dear friends in Slovenia, who really thinks that exactly we can use about the Agenda 2030, the sustainable development, also from the educational perspective. And our focus is in one of those goals, what are really the heart of the SDGs of the Agenda 2030, specifically about the target 4.7, which first time ever in the human history recognize both the lifelong learning, adult education, but all the work what mainly the civil society has done all over the world, hand in hand together with the formal education. So it's some kind of combination of the formal, non-formal, and informal educations, and including the lifelong learning. And I was personally heavily involved on lobbying that target as a part of the SDGs, as a part of the Agenda 2030. And that's why I really believe that that's also the recognition for the great work what the whole civil society has done for hundreds of years. And I think this is very, very important to use that as well, that when we have it as a political frame, but it's also the tool for us to really implement also the things what we believe as educators and learners at the same time. So we have around 1,000 people all over the world. They are representing different kind of actors. They are really the volunteers, they are the individuals who are really passionately working with the peace education, human rights education, environmental education, media education, you name it. There are also a lot of professionals who are working either in the institutions or as researchers or teachers or NGO professionals. There are local authorities, there are politicians, different kind of individuals who really believe that we can learn through the network, but we can also have the common actions what we would like to promote and then make this whole 4.7 more visible and taking this as a tool to really make the change in the world. I think that it's quite a long time. It has been a little bit thinking that yes, let's put the children to the school, and then they are coming out from the school with very equipped for this real life, what is happening out of the home or out of the school system. And that's definitely needed, but it's not the whole story. We need to definitely really understand about the challenges which is happening around us. And that's why I think that this whole 4.7 target as a part of the Agenda 2030, it's a revolution, because it's really understands that definitely the formal education really plays very important role, but also we need to have the other machineries around it. And collectively, I think we can really equip the people to take their own responsibilities, and finding the ways how I could be useful in my environment, and finding the place what I can do for this whole universe where we are living. So the 4.7, like I said, is this first time recognizing about the all kind of value-based educations. But whole point is really that we are starting from that point of view that we all are learners. None of us are not ready and perfect in this life where we are living, but we need to really understand about our capabilities to take this learning aspect and build on the skills what we are having. And this is quite important also in the sense of the United Nations, which anyway has a quite important role to be the platform where the member states comes together with the global expertise, really thinking that where we should go on. And I think that again, thinking about the whole education in the global history, the some kind of perspective or the position with the UNESCO, which is in the UN family, the main body promoting about and supporting the education and the culture and many other important points. They have taken approach called a transformative approach to education. And this is quite revolutionary, knowing that not really UNESCO is not perhaps the most modern organization, but I think that they are really taking the very, very big step to really think a little bit differently, that how exactly we should work together so that we are really opening the space for all the actors to take their responsibilities and really thinking how to move on. So exactly, they are talking quite a lot on the shared sense of humanity. They are talking about respect for diversity, and they are talking about solidarity. And this is a little bit interesting situation because many of us we can really think about that solidarity is something from the 70s. So it's some kind of old-fashioned word. But nowadays, I was just listening about the United Nations General Assembly a couple of weeks ago, and when they have the high week where all the presidents and head of states came together to New York and talk about that. The solidarity is the new fancy word, which exactly many of the member states are talking. The United Nations General Secretary General is using again about the solidarity. And I think that it's absolutely right time to talk about that. If we are really thinking which are the circumstances where we are living in together in globally, we need to have the solidarity. And that comes back to the emotions, that the individual behavior. And it's very, very important one that we start the change from the individual level. And we need to have the full potential of the peoples and feeling and playing as well about the solidarity. So that's really, really important point what I wanted to mention. But from the UNESCO point of view, it's also very important one that there are these aspects keeping in mind when we are talking about this some kind of philosophy what we would like to put to the back to the ground. Of course, one of the pillars which is needed is the building the peace, because if we are fighting against each other, I think everything is ruined and we can't really build on. So we need to really finding the ways how we could behave better, not kill each other, building the peace, and where the education is really in the fundamentally important tool on that. And it doesn't really has to be the situation like it is in Afghanistan at the moment, but it's really the building the peace in also in the much more calm situations. Every day we have the examples about the small conflicts happening in our workplaces or inside the families or amongst of friends or whoever. But that's also the building the peace in those societies. And then the next point is the building the just societies, which it really means that we are really taking account about one of the principles from the Agenda 2030, which is a leave no one behind principle, which means that we need to think about from the weakest person point of view about the society, how tolerant, how equal, how peaceful the society is, that the people can really feel also that I'm be heard. I have the opportunities for participate and giving my contribution. And then the third pillar is the building the bridges and social cohesion. And that's been one of our motivation as well from the Bridge 47, is that we need to build the bridges between different actors and building this social cohesion. And really based to that, we can also develop something new which is needed. And collective learning and developing it is much more than what I'm doing as an individual. So this is very much in the coming point from the UNESCO point of view. Like all the member states of the UNESCO are also in charge on taking this back to their national realities. And that's been one of the motivation for the Bridge 47 as well, that we wanted to exactly work together with different actors, including the member states, civil society, private sector, politicians, researchers, etc. And we have offered the places where the people can come or have been able to come together. And based on the common work together, we have tried to find out about the common solutions, how we can really find some kind of solutions as well, not just saying that the thing is wrong or you should do, somebody else has to do something, but what we can do by us working together and finding the ways and solutions to move on. And let's see if I can show this video, if it will function. It's just about 2 minutes, but let's hope that it will function, because this is the one of the example how we operated together and make the Envision 4.7 roadmap, which is the common joint product to implement this 4.7 target in European level. And I hope that we will see that and hear that as well.
In November 2019, experts from across different countries, sectors and backgrounds were brought together by the Bridge 47 network in order to pool their insights and co-create a series of policy recommendations, setting out a pathway for Europe to achieve Sustainable Development Goal Target 4.7 and support the type of transformative education Target 4.7 describes. The Envision 4.7 roadmap was born out of this collective approach. Threaded throughout the document is the belief that we need transformative education to support systemic critical thinking and adapt our ways of relating to each other and the world around us, in order to understand the interrelated and complex nature of the global problems we face, seeing the bigger picture even when it isn't always as it seems, allowing us to rethink and reimagine our way forward. The ability to think in this way is key if Europe is to achieve its educational vision, its green ambitions, and if we are to unlock the chance of a more just and sustainable world for ourselves and others. The 6 different strands of the roadmap lay the foundations for next steps. Their recommendations traverse the need for an inclusive approach between all types of transformative education and emphasize the importance of formal, non-formal and informal education across all ages and stages of life. They outline the value of cross-sectoral cooperation and the kind of competencies or skills needed to deal with uncertain times ahead. The roadmap looks at the resources and resourcing needed to make Target 4.7 a reality, and the indicators to measure and monitor progress. The culmination of years of collective expertise of attendees, of learning and unlearning. The Envision 4.7 roadmap advocates that now is the time to turn the page, to set our ways of thinking, our ways of doing, our ways of being on a different path. Be part of that story.
Very good. So hopefully you could get a little bit some kind of capture on that how we made it. So it was 200 people who came together for the 2 days, and as a part of some kind of collective learning and collective co-creation, we managed to make this is roadmap. And it's focused, like you just heard, about these 6 areas, which we've really found out that they are really the key areas where we really see that the European Union should, when we are mainly so far concentrating on the European Union, that has to have the role to push this aspect. But also we hope that that could be this some kind of example which could encourage the individual member states as well to take on board about this kind of aspect and this kind of process, so that we should really have a little bit more some kind of wider understanding about the education which is needed in these current times and implement that in the national level. So as a couple of examples, what I could mention here is for example, in the European Union level, there's a European education area as one of the political priority areas, and then we have really used about this roadmap as some kind of our contribution for the European education area. And so far, it really resonates. We have been extremely happy to really recognize that it's really ringing the bell and there's some kind of common interest. So this is one example. Another one is a process about the green competencies. So again, bringing about the global citizenship education skills and these tools what the people are needed, it should be taking account as part of these green competencies. We're also working in the global level, and one of the working areas where we're working on at the moment are the indicators, because all of us, we know that when you're having some kind of plan, you need to measure that somehow. And it has been quite difficult, even in the UNESCO level, to try and find out about the indicators for that. So this is one of the aspects what we are work together with them. But overall, our some kind of one goal is that we still believe that also in the European level, it would be really good to have the pan-European strategy for this CD 4.7 to really recognize exactly this new kind of thinking, that the old style is not anymore enough, but we need to really have a little bit more systematic than more holistic strategy. So where different kind of components are under the same strategy, and really seeing the need, because I really definitely believe that exactly how the people behaved, it really matters about which kind of policies we are having and which kind of change we need to really have. So we need to have the changes in the individual behavior, and based to that we can really have the changes in the ways of working and then finding the better tools how to move on. But these words, I'm happy to take any comments or questions afterwards, but I would like to thank you again about the kind invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rilli. If we were together in a place, there would be loud applause, I'm sure, because you told us many new things, but above all, you confirmed our belief that education is crucial, especially in the field of sustainability. I would also like to say that since we are cooperating with Sloga, it has been some years now, especially in awareness raising processes, we have to translate certain terms to each other sometimes. But Patricia understands us more than we do when it comes to terms like global citizenship education, although we are working on the same topics, only with different names. On the other hand, when it comes to terms that are usually or nowadays being used in policy papers like leaving no one behind, or the new one, resilience, or the new one that you reintroduced to us, like solidarity, I become very cautious, because that maybe means that it will be used when talking about it, but not so much when acting on it. So thank you for really widening our horizon. And I see that some people have raised their hands, and we can take a few questions or comments. Albin,
did I see the right hand up? Albin, did you raise your hand? Yes, I was applauding.
Applause,
so
okay.
applaud.
Albin applauded. Okay. So really, if you can stay with us for another hour or so, it would be very nice, because now we are going to introduce our policy level aspects and also some practice, and the latter is especially interesting for you. Maybe about policy you hear every day, but practice in Slovenia might be similar to the Finnish one or not. Let's see.